Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back on another video from AniNews. I'm totally excited for this. I loved the, I think it was last year where we went through all of the Fate characters from AniNews' explanations on them and how strong they are and all that, and that was all freaking fun. But we got one on Iskandar, who was Ryder in Fate Zero, Wave of Velvet's servant, and I just thought he was absolutely badass. He was class, and he seemed to have a lot of interesting stuff going on, like, you know, based off of like what the historical character was meant to be. So let's learn stuff, shall we? Let's see who Iskandar like actually was.
Allow me to tell you a story.
Yay!
One of pure commitment, dedication, resolve, and sometimes just straight up insanity.
Oof.
No, I'm not talking about the legendary king of Conquerors, but instead the person who spent the last year and a half making sure he got his own video. I'm talking about the even more legendary Delta Lord.
Okay.
If you've watched any of my past 98 videos, then I'm sure you've caught a glimpse of a single reoccurring comment requesting a certain servant profile. Well, after over 570 long-awaited days, it's finally time to give
Whoa!
So, let's take a look at the story and lore behind a heroic spirit whose influence was so great that it spurred the creation of a completely new era. Let's begin.
Dedication.
Contrary to what many of his legends will have you believe, Alexander III wasn't actually the son of the Greek god Zeus.
Hmm.
No, he was born in the year 356 BC
Okay.
to King Philip II and his fourth wife Olympias in the ancient Greek city of Pella. This was the administrative capital of the ancient kingdom of Macedon, of which
The Macedonians
was the current ruler of. So, that being the case, Alexander was born next in line to be the ruler of the entire Macedonian kingdom.
Cool.
He was a prince who would go on to succeed his father in pretty much every way imaginable.
Whoa.
Before that could happen, though, it was as a child that Alexander could only bear witness to the numerous campaigns and conquests in which his father commanded. He was left behind to study and learn as Macedon continued expanding its reach all throughout the numerous cities-states of Greece.
Conquering.
Although there wasn't much fighting for him to do, this was still an extremely significant period that went towards making Alexander who he was. Reason being that there were two key things that happened which ended up influencing his growth as a person.
Right.
The first was the taming of the horse Bucephalus.
Bucephalus.
At the age of 12, Alexander showed incredible courage by subduing a seemingly aggressive stallion that no
Oh,
one
wow,
person
cool.
close to. This horse would
I like that, so
as reward and would serve as
the fact that he can just casually just be like, come on my friend, let's do this.
The second was the fact that his father made sure his education was the very best.
Moth fell on my arm, that was scary.
So far as to hire none other than Aristotle himself to become Alexander's own personal tutor.
That shit me
That's right. One of the greatest philosophers to ever exist, as well as one of the very first pioneers of science, was now solely dedicated to teaching only him.
Cool.
So,
damn.
with such a skill
Some knowledge
to
there.
educate him on all these different fields of knowledge,
Wow.
Alexander began to grow a personal interest in philosophy himself. He also began to admire different cultures and feats of science as well. It was a passion towards the very sophisticated.
I love it. It makes sense why he's so interested in books all the time and learning all the history and that. That's cool.
What I mean is that there was a certain benevolence to his rule that made his once defeated enemies feel the need to follow him. It's an aspect of his character that we'll see once he becomes king a little bit later.
Right.
Moving on to when he was 16, there was a brief period of time in which Alexander was left in charge of Macedonia. His father had gone away to take part in the final
Oh, so he had like a trial run. I like it.
So, should he win, then this would allow him to finally fulfill his dream of establishing a joint Greek force that could hold its own against Persia. It was a very crucial conflict in which Alexander knew he could use to prove himself. That being the case, Alexander deemed it best to enter the fight as well. So, he gathered up a group of cavalry, then proceeded to lead them into battle against an opponent known as the Sacred Band of Thebes.
Ooh, Thebes. Not thieves. The Sacred Band of Thebes.
But that notion was quickly disproven once Alexander got to them. The instant his group of cavalry hit their formation, there was nothing that these few hundred troops could do to defend themselves. It was a decisive blow to the Theban army that would later help King Philip to secure his victory.
Whoa.
Now, with the majority of central Greece now forced into submission, a Greek confederation known as the League of Corinth was able to be established.
The League of
It was a
Corinth.
single political
Epic.
entity under which all Greek city-states except for Sparta were unified. An organization intended to be led by King Philip and be used as a means to invade Persia. Unfortunately for Philip, his position as leader didn't really last long, as he was assassinated only 2 years after the League's creation.
Oh.
This was the event that would allow Alexander to succeed as both the ruler of Macedonia and the commander of the League of Corinth.
Oh God.
While still only being at the young age of 20.
Jesus.
That said, the position of king didn't come without a little bit of preparation first.
Right, okay, so
there
they
were certain steps that needed to be taken in order for Alexander
kind of knew he maybe have to take the mantle.
The first was the execution of any person who could rival his spot for the throne.
Oh.
And the second was the immediate suppression of any form of rebellion. Since news of King Philip's death had spread across the country, many of the Greek city-states saw an opportunity to stage a revolt. But the instant Alexander heard of their plans, he immediately set out with his armies to ensure that it didn't happen.
Damn! Just get them before they get a chance. I love it. He's like, no.
Not only did this maintain the integrity of the League of Corinth, but it also allowed him to continue his father's conquest east into the Persian Empire.
Wow.
Thus marking the
So he continued the legacy and carried on conquering. Jesus.
Now, to recount every single battle during this conquest would take far too long. I mean, for a guy whose goal was to reach the farthest border to the east, you can only imagine just how long that would take and how many battles he would have to fight. Especially given that his opponent was King Darius III and his seemingly infinite number of soldiers.
Whoa.
So, rather than go
he seems beastly.
Instead, I'll just point out a few iconic moments.
Cool.
The first of which came during Alexander's journey up north to the city of Gordian. After claiming all the coastal cities in order to deny Persia access to their naval bases, Alexander found himself met by a certain feat known as the Unsolvable Gordian Knot.
The Unsolvable Gordian
Knot.
Knot.
Tightly entwined knots that once belonged to an ox-pulled cart of the former king of Gordian.
Oh, okay.
Because the cart was a significant part of how that person became king. It was offered up to Zeus as a sign of gratitude. Years would then pass as the cart remained kept deep within the royal Gordian palace, eventually resulting in the manifestation of a legend around it due to the predictions of an oracle.
Oh.
What the oracle predicted was that whoever could unravel the knots would be destined to conquer all of Asia.
And that's what that is that he's using. Wow, okay, cool. Everything makes sense in Fate when they use the stuff, man. It's class.
Slicing through it with his sword proved to be just as effective. Now, not only did this grant him victory over the unsolvable challenge, but it's also the part of his history that allows him to be able to use the Gordius wheel as his chariot.
That's cool.
An aspect of his power that we'll look at more when we talk about his noble phantasms next video.
Oh, we're gonna oh yes, sick, cool. So he is doing it like the others. So we get the explanation and then how strong. Cool.
Continues to conquer city after city. After seeing that small fortified strongholds weren't doing anything to stop his advance, King Darius began to amass an army far larger than anything before. It was a massive force led by himself consisting of over 100,000 soldiers.
Damn, that's a big number.
The elite heavy armed infantry known as the Immortals. So, with Alexander's army outnumbered by about 60,000, what would determine victory here would be his positioning. He needed to route his troops in a way that would make the most out of their superior
tactical.
It was an outlook to the battle that led Alexander to commit to a massive charge straight down the inner right flank.
Oh.
Not because it was the weakest point in the Persian formation, but instead because it was the fastest way to get to Darius.
Oh wow, okay, just go straight for the leader.
If Alexander forced Darius to retreat, then that would leave the rest of the army without any significant leadership.
Yeah, no one actually telling them where to go and what to do. Love it.
Disorganized, which in turn would make the numbers advantage completely meaningless.
Yeah. If they don't know what they're doing, then screw them.
That's exactly what happened when Darius saw Alexander's armies approaching him. He immediately retreated from the region without so much as stopping to even pick up his family.
Whoa.
Resulting in the capture of his mother, daughters, and even wife. So, with such a decisive victory against what seemed to be such overwhelming odds,
there's some mad odds
there.
there.
Want to become one that would best highlight Alexander's prowess as a military leader. It was a feat that would help to establish his future motto of "There is nothing impossible to him who will try."
Oh, I love it.
A motto that would eventually make Alexander become known as the personification of
possibilities class. The personification of possibilities,
damn. A lot of the
damn.
battles after this didn't really compare in scale to the one at Issus.
Right.
Reason being that Darius never did return to the field with another massive army.
Oh.
Instead, he just attempted to make offers of peace.
He wussed out.
Which were met by rejection unless he was to declare Alexander king.
Yeah, I love it. He's just using this as an example to show what happened. Like, you need some visual stuff.
Alexander simply continued his conquest deeper into Syria and down towards Egypt. It was along the way that he was met by significant resistance at the heavily fortified island of Tyre, a key coastal location that would allow for the siege of Egypt to be that much easier. What made this particular battle so difficult, though, was that Alexander didn't have any ships to properly approach the island with. He was forced to retreat numerous times due to a lack of places to funnel his troops through.
Damn.
Only after putting together a massive fleet was he finally able to overwhelm them. A few months after that, a similar level of resistance was formed at the city of Gaza. But it was the instant that this stronghold was taken that Alexander pretty much became ruler of Egypt. Very little opposition came after as Alexander traveled from city to city.
So sick, man. Jesus.
Some sort of liberator.
Yeah. Like a
Case,
hero.
King Darius would try one more time in the year 331 BC to fend off the invading Macedonian
Oh,
armies.
cool. One last attempt.
Just like the first, the battle was yet another decisive victory for Alexander.
Damn, dude, this was amazing.
Darius would find himself retreating further east towards the borders of
So he just kept running away.
His initial plan was, of course, to gather as many troops as he could for another battle. But this time Darius would find himself betrayed by his very own soldiers. With Alexander,
You'd think after so long people would be fed up of just running away, wouldn't they? It's like, come on now.
It was only a matter of time before they reached the Persian capital of Persepolis. And to the Persian troops who were constantly being pushed back from every subsequent loss, it was now painfully clear that Darius simply wasn't fit to lead.
There we go, you see, yeah, you would eventually be like, right, okay, he ain't got this anymore.
Alexander had finally caught up to Darius' last known location.
Whoa.
He was saddened to see that his rival had been assassinated by a coup led by one of the Persian governors.
Oh.
A new enemy who now claimed that he was the true king of Persia. This had actually gone to make Alexander furious.
Damn, yeah, you'd be so pissed off. Chasing him for so long.
Persian Empire, but it also went against everything that he wanted for Darius. You see, Alexander had hoped that he could take him alive. He wanted the transition of power from Darius to himself to be a peaceful one.
Whoa.
It was the only way to fully legitimize his claim to the throne and to truly appease the people of Persia.
But then he got assassinated.
But now that this Persian governor had taken that away from him, all it did was make for yet another target that Alexander had to eliminate. The only thing that came for this new usurper was a relentless pursuit all across the continent. It was such a persistent chase all throughout Central Asia that eventually the remaining Persian troops simply decided it was best to just give up and hand Bessus over.
Yeah.
At least that was a better outcome than having to continue running and even potentially flee their own homeland. Now, it was after Bessus' execution that Alexander gained full control over Persia.
Yeah.
What came with it, though, was the adoption of a Persian lifestyle in which many of his Macedonian comrades weren't very fond of. They viewed Alexander's actions as an attempt to deify himself, something that many who were closest to him thought to be disrespectful to their own culture.
Oh, right, okay.
As a result, Alexander had no choice but to lay off on the Persian customs he was trying so hard to adopt. I mean, inner conflicts were escalating to the point where some of his generals were even plotting his assassination.
Damn.
It made it so that the only way Alexander was able to continue his conquest further east was by first executing every person remotely involved with them. Only after eliminating the source of his paranoia was he finally able to continue his campaign into India.
Right. So he kept going.
In the year 327 BC, Alexander would begin a journey in which he would traverse all sorts of different terrains and encounter enemies unlike any he'd ever seen.
Wow, guys kept going.
Yes, the loss to his
Guys
numbers
kept
was
going.
certainly great, but never once did Alexander's hopes ever diminish. He was fully committed to reaching that eastern edge of the continent. What did bring his dreams to a halt, though, was the increasing reluctance to fight from more and more of his soldiers. Remember, some of these men had been fighting for almost a decade.
That's a long
So
freaking
it only
time.
made sense that many just wanted to return home to their families and rest. This wasn't a full-on revolt against their king, but it was enough to convince Alexander to cease his advance, temporarily halting his campaign to the east around the year 325 BC. Now, it was over the course of the next year that Alexander would use his power to try and unite the people of Persia and Macedonia. His goal was to establish a new race of people who would be loyal only to him. The main issue with that, though, was that it involved trying to incorporate some of the Persian culture in which the Macedonians weren't very
They didn't like that, yeah.
resulting in the growth of a resentment similar to how it was only a few years ago. We're not sure if this had any influence over the cause of his death, but it was only a year later that Alexander would suddenly fall ill and die. Some believe that it's because he was poisoned. Others simply think it was due to natural causes. Either way, this legendary king of conquerors would pass away before ever getting to continue his conquest into the Arabias. His dream of reaching the ocean at the farthest border to the east would be cut short before ever even getting close to it. What did remain of his legacy, though, was one of the largest empires to have ever existed, as well as the establishment of a whole new era known as the Hellenistic period. Unfortunately for Alexander, the kingdom he worked so hard to build wasn't destined to survive very long, because no formal heir was ever named. no one knew who the right person to
Oh,
succeed
God.
the throne was. It is believed that Alexander did say to leave it up to the strongest, but I'm sure you can imagine how an open-ended statement like that would end up being treated.
Definitely.
So,
I'm the strongest. No, I am. No, he is. What? No, I am. No, they are.
Succumbing to the Romans, thus marking the end of the Hellenistic period.
Wow.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for the history behind Fate Zero's Iskandar. If you're interested in knowing about the details of his noble phantasms and abilities, then be sure to subscribe for when that video
Oh,
comes out.
mate, yes.
Now, before I go, I do want to mention that I've started streaming a little bit over at Twitch. So, if you want to come and chat while I play a bunch of different video games, then you can follow me at the Twitch link down below. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this type of anime content, then you already know what to do. So, until next time,
Ciao.
ciao.
That was boss. That was dead good. I love it. And we're going to get how strong, his neural phantasm, sick. I love it. I love Fate characters. I love Fate discussion videos. Absolutely boss. Just took me back to like last year, where it's just like overall, because it was, we had the Fate Grand Order videos out then as well, explaining all that. Oh, that was during lockdown, watching Fate go. Wow. But yeah, anyway, thank you very much for watching. And I would just like to thank my my patrons. I'm still getting used to this. For $1 a month, if you pledge to the Patreon, you get your name at the end of every video. So, thank you very much. And make sure you click that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, leave comments down below, let me know what to watch and discuss in future videos, and I'll see you guys next time.